So let's take a look at our triangle theorems. This is part one where we'll look at triangle sum. Two things that we need to remember. That all three angles in a triangle will equal up to 180. And sum simply means to add. So I would add angle A plus angle B plus angle C, and that should equal up to 180 degrees. Let's practice. So I know that one of my angles is 58, and I know my other angle is 43. We know that the total triangle should equal up to 180 degrees. So you can set it up like an equation, or you could just solve it. So in this case, that gives me 11, 101. So we know that those two angles equal to 101, and then 180 take away 101. So we know that x is equal to 79 degrees. And again, I could go 79 plus 43 plus 58, and it all should equal to 180 degrees. Pause for a minute to try number two. Okay, so let's look at number two together. Let's try this one in equation form, and let's see if you can solve it like that as well. So again, I know that 72 plus 68 plus x has to be equal to 180 degrees. First, let's add these to combine. That gives me 140 plus x is equal 180. Next, let's get x by itself. So subtract 140, subtract 140. So I know that x is equal to 40 degrees. And again, I know this is true because I can add up all three of the angles and it should equal up to 180 degrees. I hope this helps. This is part two of the triangle theorems. Triangle side angle theorem. Things that we need to know. The smallest angle is opposite the shortest side. And with that same theory, the longest side is opposite the largest angle. Let's practice. Place the angles in order from least to greatest. So first, let's label my sides in order from smallest, medium to largest. So in this case, this is my smallest, medium, largest. So let's start with my smallest side. I would just draw a straight line going across and see what angle is close to it. So in this case, angle A would be my smallest. Angle C would be my medium. And angle B would be my largest. Pause for a minute to try number two. Okay, so let's look at number two together. We're doing the same process, but this case we want to go from greatest to least. We're going to do the same thing that we did with our our sides that we did with our angles. So in this case, we know that my greatest would be x, so largest. My medium would be y, and my smallest would be z. So let's draw our straight lines and do the exact same thing and see what side it would hit. So if we start with my greatest number, or my greatest angle, which is x, we draw my line across, I would hit line YZ. Let's do the same thing. Medium, draw my line, and I will hit XZ. And then my smallest, again, draw my line, and I will hit XY. I hope this helps. Hello, this is part three of triangle theorems. Our last theorem is triangle inequality theorem. So first of all, we know inequalities. One of the inequalities that we're focused on, it has to be greater than. It cannot be equal, less than, it has to be greater than. Things to know. Two sides must be greater than the third side. But there's a shortcut to this. If we add the two smaller side lengths, if it is greater than the third length, then it is a triangle. So I will show you both ways dealing with our practice. Determine whether these are triangles or not. So I'm going to show you the longer way, and then I'm going to show you the shortcut way. So in this case, just set up our theorems. So we know that 5 plus 11 has to be greater than 10. 10 plus 11 has to be greater than 5. And then 5 plus 10 has to be greater than 11. And we would go through each one of these theorems to see whether this is true or not. Well, 5 plus 11, yes. 16 is greater than 10. 11 plus 10, yes. 21 is greater than 5. And then 5 plus 10, 15. Yes, that is greater than 11. So in this case, this would be a triangle. So yes, this is a triangle. Now, on the second example, I'll just show you the shortcut way. Pause for a minute to try by yourself. Okay, so let's take a minute to look at this one. Again, knowing our theorem, well, we could take our two smallest. So in this case, this is my smallest, and this is my smallest. We would just simply say 8 plus my 3 has to be greater than 15. Instead of setting up each theorem, we could just do this one. So 8 plus 3 gives me 11. Is 11 greater than 15? No. So in this case, no, it is not a triangle. I hope this helps.